guys, how you doing? Welcome to another episode of A Drummer's Guide to. So, I don't know when you're watching this, but basically the whole COVID-19 coronavirus thing is in full swing, is a proper pandemic. As of yesterday, the UK is in lockdown, which means that we're not meant to leave our house except for essential trips, basically. And before that, a lot of people were kind of self-isolating anyway, just in case, to make sure they didn't spread the disease to the more vulnerable people, which I know I was certainly aware of. But I just thought that I would do a video based around isolation and how to make that into a positive situation. I know that's awful to say, like, this is a horrendous situation that's happening, but I am that person that is relentlessly optimistic and tries to make the best of a situation. So apologies if you find it offensive that I'm trying to bring the positive out of a terrible situation, but it is just the person that I am, and I have to do that to basically keep myself sane. So yeah, if you don't fancy watching this, I completely get it. Like, I am not offended. I apologize if you are, and I don't mean any harm by this, but I'm just going to run you through how I'm basically dealing with this. I mean, I think I'm certainly very lucky, and I think a lot of musicians are, in that we are quite isolate creatures. I'm not sure that actually makes sense, but we are used to spending a lot of time by ourselves. That's because we've grown up kind of in rehearsal rooms by ourselves, practicing. I don't know why I just went to play guitar as if I'm a guitarist, like practicing and doing all that. So we're very used to our own company, which it makes it not, well, for me, I think it makes it not as difficult as for someone that is just very sociable all the time. I am sociable, but in, small doses. Otherwise, I get overwhelmed. It's the introvert thing. It's fine. I make it work. So I just thought, yeah, let me talk you through exactly how I've been dealing with this. So the very first thing, obviously, if you are working as a musician, I'm sure you've had exactly the same experience. I basically I've had at least three months worth of work cancelled, definitely, but there's nothing to say that more work will be cancelled, and there is a very great potential that the majority of the money that I was going to earn this year is not going to be coming into my bank account. This is stressful. I don't care who you are, like, it's stressful. The thought of money, lack thereof, is a nightmare. But, and again, doing the relentlessly positive sort of spin on it, silver lining, at least everybody is sort of in the same boat. So it's not about, one person is worse off than another, blah, blah, blah. I'm not about that. But it's kind of like, okay, this is a situation, we need to deal with it. So the first thing that I and my husband did was sit down, and it ain't romantic, it ain't glamorous. We sat down and we did a budget. We basically just sat down and looked at our outgoings and just went, right, what is not essential here? So at least the money that is going out of our account, it can be as little as possible so we can survive for as long as we can. So I would highly suggest doing the same things, like, what did I have going out that was just, things like I was running ads. I don't need to be running ads. Nobody is going to be buying anything right now. They shouldn't be, really, unless it's essential. And I personally, personal opinion, on nobody else, like, this is no judgment on anyone. I find it quite insensitive because, we're all going through this. So yeah, don't be pitching, here, buy this. Like, no, I'm not about that. So yeah, like, ads when we stripped down our streaming services, although obviously, it's good to have a couple. It's a good way to pass time and relax and be entertained, so it has its place. I'm not saying be like a caveman here. And then various things like plugins on my website, just things that I could cut back that would not, it won't make my studio business fall apart, because luckily, some people are still booked in with me, and that seems to be okay so far. I mean, as we've learnt from this whole situation, everything can change in a minute. So I'm not counting my chickens, that's all I'm saying. But, so that's the first thing that I did. And the reason for that mainly was because I just thought this is going to release as much stress as possible surrounding the money side of life. you need money to live. It's as simple as that. So anyway, I will move on from that point, but I just thought I'd make that point because it is a very useful thing to do. It certainly made the weight lift from my shoulders a little bit, just seeing what we had in the savings and just going, okay, I know that we can survive for X amount of time, and if it gets to that point, well, then I will panic. But until that point, I'm going to carry on doing the rest of these things that I'm about to tell you. Right, let's get into the glamorous stuff. It's not glamorous either! But, so the first thing I would highly suggest, and this just works for me, and it may not work for you, is getting into a routine. It works so well. I've said this so many times before on other videos. Having a routine, for me, is brilliant. Like, as long as I know what I'm doing every day, I just go and I just do it. It's like being a programmed robot. It's like, da 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 da, I know I need to do X, Y, Z, da da da, and then my day finishes at, say, 6 o'clock, and then it's like, oh, and now we have relaxed time when we're watching a film, or it was going out with friends, but not so much now. So yeah, I would say have a routine, and I'm gonna walk you through some things that you could be doing in your routine during the day to help keep yourself sane, and also to take this time to invest in yourself, in your career, in your abilities. So the first thing that I would say is maybe get into a practice routine. Now, having a practice routine, like a proper practice routine where I'm doing things that I really can't or are really uncomfortable for me, I haven't had that for a long time. A very long time. But I was like, you know what? This is the perfect excuse. So I sat down and I was like, okay, what really is not, like, what am I not feeling that great about? And for me, it's things like control and dexterity. I have this thing around that whole subject, and I just thought, well, now's the time to do it. So I've made out this mad plan. Like, it's bonkers, and it's a lot of material to get through. But I'm just gonna chip away at it, and as I say, there's so much material that literally, if this lasted for, let me work this out, this lasted for around about 15 years, I'd still be working on it. I know, I'm that mental person. I'm doing basically an hour a day. That is my goal. Do an hour a day. So I would say find something that you feel will advance your playing in like the most way possible towards whatever your goal is. So as I say, for me, it's kind of the dexterity thing. It's rudiments, it's accents, it's all this stuff that kind of like I freeze up about. So anyway, I'm working on that. But find something that works for you, whether that's, I don't know, practicing to music, or maybe it's playing to a click, or maybe it's, I don't know, practicing your comping, jazz, or soloing, stuff like that. Yeah, just find something that you feel will push the needle, as they say, or move the needle rather, towards your career path, the kind of player that you want to be. So that's my first thing that I would suggest. Do something for your playing. The second thing is to maybe look at any projects that you haven't finished that you quite fancy finishing. This is a really good excuse. There's not a lot going on, so you may as well just knuckle down and get some stuff done. It may not, again, these are all so, this may not be glamorous, but in the long run, if you think about when this is over, because at some point it will change, it will finish, something will happen. What do you want? What position do you want to be in when we come out the other side? You could either just sort of like sit around and do nothing, or you could have something to show for it. This could be something like finishing, if you're writing an album. If you've been trying to finish an album for the last 5 years or something, now is a great time. Like, just spend the time, block off. This is what I'm doing, blocking off 2 hours every day just to work on my personal project that I know at the end of it will be a great thing. The other thing you can do, let's say you're not great at social media, but you feel like that might be a good thing to invest your time in, but you haven't quite worked out what you should be doing, what you should be posting, anything like that. Now's a great time. Sit down and think about, what do you want to post? Okay, cool. All right, well, make some content. Okay, get together a schedule. Start posting it. Or don't. Maybe wait for a few weeks and build up your content and then drip feed it out. All these sorts of things that usually unless you have the time up front, it can end up snowballing on you. I know that I have that. I am catching up with my social media stuff. I am catching up. What was I catching up with yesterday? My podcast episodes, and just putting them all out there, and just knowing that I'm like a month ahead of the game really is giving me a lot of peace, which is really nice. And I don't often say that about when I'm putting out content. I'm very rarely that far ahead of the game. I try to be a little bit ahead of the game, but not that much. So that's really cool. But I think it's just finding things that are going to help you and your career, not in your playing, or maybe not in your career even, just in your soul. So the thing that I've been working on is that I'm creating a course. I'm creating a course for drummers, basically. Sorry, any other musicians that are watching this, or non-musicians, apologies. But this is I'm calling it the Professional Foundations drum course, and it is all the things that I think are necessary to become a professional drummer. It is literally like a step-by-step guide, like do this, then do that, work on that, look at this, go here, talk to this, but like it is literally step-by-step course. I am in the process of making it at the moment. It is a lot of work. It's already, I'm clocking a lot of hours doing this, but you know what? I know at the end of it, it's going to be so comprehensive and so brilliant and give so much information that I don't feel exists in the world at the moment, in terms of if you want to be a professional drummer, like what it actually takes. So I'm super excited about that, and that is what I'm concentrating on. So that's for 2 hours out of my day, because I try to make sure that I don't overwhelm myself and overdo it, because even in this time where I've suddenly got all this free time, I still manage to completely block up all of my time. I don't know, it's just something I do, I suppose. So anyway, the third thing I want to talk about, and this is probably the most important, should have been the first one, but oh well, here we are, is taking time for yourself. And what I mean by that is things like your health and your fitness. Obviously, this coronavirus is a virus. It's like the flu. If you are not in your as good a health as you can be, you're making yourself susceptible to things that you don't need to necessarily. So things like eating well. And for me, I'm very lucky. I love cooking. Like, I love it. So part of my relaxation, which you should also do, make sure you take time to relax and stuff. Part of my relaxation is cooking. I really enjoy it. But I meal prep, so I make sure that I make really healthy meals, and then I just stick them in the freezer. That means that we can just eat really healthily and not stress about cooking or spend hours cooking a meal every day or whatever. Although I do enjoy doing that too, so sometimes I do that too. The other thing is fitness, and I know that this is dull stuff. If you're not into it, cool, each to their own, absolutely. But I think that if you can get into some sort of fitness regime in this period, isolated, I think that you will be coming out the other side in great shape. And I don't mean that physically, I just mean that, well, not just physically, but mentally. I've managed to find yoga, which is very easy to do at home anyway. I was doing it long before this anyway, so I'm already in this routine. But you know, things like calisthenics, which is bodyweight exercises, are brilliant. You know, you don't need to be going to a gym. You don't need to be running outside. I know if you are in the UK and you're watching this, and it's still the same when this comes out, they're saying, you know, you can go out to do exercise. I think that's bonkers. Like, I'm no health expert, but I think that's bonkers, and that's putting yourself at unnecessary risk. So if you can find something fitness-wise that works for you in your home, that would be really great. Oh, and the last thing I would absolutely suggest is being sociable. Obviously not in person, but just keeping in touch with people. If you are living alone, especially, it can get pretty crazy. I lived alone. It's yeah, even when it's not like this, you can sometimes just be in your head too much. So reach out to people, have a chat, get online, do FaceTimes and stuff like that. If you're not alone and you do have people that you live with or whatever, maybe reach out to some friends or family that do live alone. Because yeah, it's I think it's going to be quite tough for the foreseeable, at least. But I feel like if you have, like, say, some sort of routine where every day you're doing like a few things, like just for like a few hours a day, and by the end of that day you can look back and go, well, at least I've done something. At least it's been a bit productive. At least I've treated myself well. Self-care is so important, especially in times like this. So anyway, like I say, I'm no doctor or anything like that. Obviously, I'm just a drummer. But I hope that this has helped in some way. If you are feeling, alone or anything like that, just reach out. Let's have a chat. Like, I'm here. I'm just working on, like I say, the weaknesses in my playing as well as this course. Which reminds me, if you're interested in that course, then head over to www.adrummersguide2.com/course. You can just sign up with your email address. You get all the latest updates on it and maybe some sneak previews and fun things like that. I'm so excited for this to be done. I'm like, when you just want something done. Actually, I don't. I'm really enjoying the process. It's really, really fun to do it. And it's nice to know that I'm going to be giving out this information that I think is so important. But anyway, right. I'm going to love you. I'm going to leave you. I hope that you're healthy wherever you are. I hope that you're safe. Please stay safe and healthy. I just want to send you all of my love. And I genuinely mean that from the bottom of my heart. All my love to you. Keep well, and our normal service will resume next week. I don't know what I'm talking about. There will be more rambling, of course, because it's me. But yeah, I will see you next week for another subject. All right, lots of love, you guys. Keep well. See you later.
It's